Discover how a mother of newborn twins turned heartbreak into an incredible life-changing journey. Emma stood at the foot of her bed, the soft cries of her newborn twins echoing through the air. Sophie curled in one arm, while Ben, with his tiny hands grasping at nothing, lay in the crib nearby. The mess of the world outside felt heavy on her heart, each tick of the clock reminding her of Matt, the devoted veteran who deepened her rock and her love. Just a few months ago, they had been planning for their future, filled with laughter and dreams. Now, it felt like she was in a nightmare she could never wake from. The days blurred together as grief wrapped around her like a thick fog. Every glance in the mirror reflected dark circles under her eyes, evidence of sleepless nights spent worrying about bills piling on the countertop. She felt the whispers of neighbors who peeked through her curtains and murmured about that poor single mother struggling to keep it together. Emma held her breath against their judgment, hostility clawing at the remains of her spirit. Yet, a fire flickered within her. She knew she had to be strong for Sophie and Ben. Each day, she rose at dawn, fueled by coffee, love, and an overwhelming determination as she made meals of canned beans and frozen dinners, sometimes even smiling at her reflection, reminding herself that she had to carry on for Matt. She held tightly to the chatter from the community, the neighbors leaving meals on her doorstep, and the inevitable calls checking in to see how she was faring. One morning in a corner coffee shop, Emma sought sanctuary while the world woke outside. Sipping on her usual black brew, she shuffled through the photos she'd taken of craft projects she had dabbled in post-babies. Handmade toys, whimsical blankets, daydreams made real. A kind stranger leaned over, her eyes lighting up at Emma's creations. "These are beautiful," she exclaimed. "You should sell them online." A spark ignited inside Emma, a flicker of hope, a vision. Maybe I could turn my tiny moments with the twins into something beautiful, a way to honor Matt. Before she could fully process this thought, another shadow fell over her dreams. Little Ben, who had always been the picture of health, suddenly fell ill one sleepy afternoon. Panic rushed through her veins as the doctor's words hung heavy in the air. "We need to run some tests." The world spun, and Emma's heart threatened to shatter. Fear raced in her chest as she realized she could not do this alone. For far too long, she had tried to shoulder every burden by herself, burying herself in pride when all that was needed was connection. With trembling hands, she reached out to her neighbors, her family, a decision that tore down the walls she had built. They showed up with open hearts, laughter, and steaming pots of food, reminding her that community binds like family. Standing on the threshold of her journey, Emma felt their love washing over her. She began to weave the story of her heartbreak into something powerful. Her craft business was no longer just a dream. It transformed into a lifeline anchored in hope. As the laughter of friends filled her small living room, a question loomed in Emma's mind. Could she truly turn heartbreak into a life-changing journey? With Sophie and Ben nestled safely in her embrace, she knew the answer was not just yes, but a resounding "we can." Through the haze of the following weeks, Emma immersed herself in the rhythm of parenthood, even as she strived to breathe life into her craft ideas. The twins, each with their own unique quirks, inspired her in ways she never imagined. Sophie had a laugh that danced around the room like sunshine, while Ben clung to his toys as though they were lifelines. They were both her heartbeats, and the love she felt surged through her veins like an unquenchable fire. With each handmade toy Emma pieced together, she felt a thread of purpose weave its way into her being, slowly pulling her from the depths of sorrow. The crafts began to fill her days, sparking creative bursts that chased the shadows away, if only for a little while. The first time she successfully made a plush dinosaur for Ben, she practically floated. The joy on his face as he snuggled that toy close brought tears of gratitude to her eyes. In the evenings, while the twins slept, Emma tapped away at her laptop. The stranger's suggestion echoed in her mind, turning from a mere whisper into a loud call to action. She created an online store, naming it Tiny Treasures, a tribute to her babies and all life-saving moments they represented. Each item she listed felt like a leap of faith, a sprinkle of hope launched out into the world. But the worry lingered like a shadow, quietly sucking away the joy. As the days turned into weeks, Ben's illness loomed over her like a storm cloud. The test results were still pending. They were supposed to let her know any day now. In the backs of her thoughts, that what if not at her, but the vibrant smiles from Sophie and Ben kept her anchored. One afternoon, while the twins napped nestled among pillows and plush blankets, Emma logged into her shop to check sales. To her surprise, orders had come in small at first, but they were there. Her heart thumped with excitement. The community's support had transcended mere caring. They were now affirming her aspirations. This journey, she realized, was as much about their connection as it was about her healing. Days of sewing and stitching blurred with the laughter of new friends as they gathered for crafting nights. Each stitch felt like a declaration of resilience, binding hope to her heart. Yet, a lingering tension stretched within her. Every time the phone rang, her heart raced. Then one evening, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, the call she had dreaded and anticipated arrived. The tune of the doctor's voice poured out over the line, and with it came a wave of emotions. "I'm sorry, but we need to discuss Ben's results." Emma gripped the receiver tighter. "What is it?" The silence stretched. Even the wind outside seemed to pause, leaving only the pounding of her heartbeat filling the air. When we discovered the truth, the words hung heavy, and Emma felt as if the ground beneath her was giving way, spiraling into chaos. With a deep breath, Emma steeled herself for the revelation. Could this truly be the moment where everything changed? She clutched the phone tighter, a whirlwind of hope and fear battling within her. As the doctor continued speaking, a haunting question formed in her mind. Would she have the strength to face this new reality, for herself and for her children? Emma's breath caught in her throat as she listened to the doctor's voice, each word like a drop of rain testing the strength of her already strained resolve. The air was thick, wrapped in a mix of anxiety and fear. How could she navigate this? Ben's results showed some concerning indicators, the doctor continued, his voice steady yet solemn. Emma could feel the world around her blur, her focus honed entirely on that single line. Her heart ached, each beat resonating with a kind of love only a mother knows. As the doctor elaborated on the specifics, Emma's mind darted from one thought to another. What treatments could he need? How would they manage appointments and care on top of everything else? Her spirit trembled under the weight of uncertainty, yet she sensed something within her shift. A small flicker of strength ignited. She needed to stay strong for Ben. "Can you give me time to think about this?" she whispered, her voice almost a plea. "Of course, take as much time as you need," the doctor replied gently. She hung up slowly, staring out the window where the sun had set. The vibrant hues of orange and purple melted into a dark canvas, a stark reminder of the light fading from her own hopes. The twins stirred, their sleepy faces peeking over the pile of blankets, Sophie's bright smile breaking through the haze of her thoughts. Emma swept into the room, wrapping her arms around the little girl, who laughed and squeezed Emma's neck tightly. Ben was still snuggled deep in his dinosaur blanket, looking every bit the picture of innocence. A wave of protectiveness surged through Emma. She needed to process this, to figure out what to do, but right now, she just wanted to hold them close. "Everything will be okay," she murmured softly, though she wasn't sure if she believed it herself. She bit her lip, suppressing the overwhelming swell of emotions. The reality of the doctor's words crashed against her, yet she forced herself to think of those orders that continued to trickle into tiny treasures. That night, after bathing and tucking the twins into bed, Emma retreated to her workspace. It had become her sanctuary, the place where she poured not just creativity, but healing into her crafts. The online orders sat in the corner of her mind, but each piece she worked on now felt like a lifeline, sewing threads of hope into a fading tapestry. The following morning felt different. A calm settled over her heart. Emma decided she would face the challenges ahead with an unyielding spirit, one stitch at a time. She brewed coffee and crafted a new plan for tiny treasures, merging the need for financial support into one that celebrated community resilience. As she tapped away at her laptop, thoughts danced around an idea: an online charity event featuring her creations, bringing together local artisans and raising funds for Ben's treatments. That evening, surrounded by fabric swatches and sketches, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. Her heart swelled with determination. But just as she began outlining the event, a sudden noise caught her attention. A shrill, abrupt ring of her phone shattered her focus. Could it be the doctor again? Or perhaps someone from the community? Emma hesitated, dread creeping in. Yet, she knew she had to face whatever news awaited her. With a deep breath, she reached for the phone, ready to confront the next wave of challenges, each one shaped like an opportunity. Who knew what awaited her on the other end? Emma's heart raced as she picked up the phone, her mind racing with possibilities. She glanced at the screen. It was an unknown number. A small voice in the back of her head urged her to ignore it, to stay in the warmth of her cozy workspace with her thoughts. But she couldn't. She pressed answer, her heart pounding louder than the ringing had echoed in her ears. "Hello?" she managed to say, each syllable feeling heavy as if it weighed a ton. "Emma Reynolds?" The voice sounded familiar but anxious, and that made her pulse quicken even more. "Yes, this is she. Hi, this is Claire from the local nonprofit organization, Caring Hands." Emma's expression shifted. This was unexpected. "Oh, hello, Claire. How can I help you?" "I'm calling because we heard about your plans for the charity event. We wanted to see if you'd like support from us in planning it. We could help you reach a larger audience and connect you with local businesses." The words washed over her like a wave, and for a moment, she was silent. Support. Help. Those were things she desperately needed. "That would be incredible. But I don't even know what I'd need." "No worries. We specialize in these kinds of events. We can help with marketing, logistics, and even gathering donations. You just need to provide your vision, and we'll help make it a reality." Emma felt a swell of gratitude. "I can't believe this. Thank you so much. Really." "Of course. Now, do you have a moment to discuss some ideas? Maybe we can set up a meeting for next week to brainstorm?" As they chatted, Emma felt a spark ignite deep within her. It was the first time she felt something that resembled hope since the doctor's call. Maybe she wasn't alone in this. Maybe there were people out there willing to help. When they finally wrapped up the call, she stayed sitting with the phone cradled in her hand, staring out the window once more. The sky outside was ink black now, with stars punctuating the darkness. She took a deep breath and smiled, picturing the event coming to life, tables filled with handmade crafts, laughter filling the air, and community members banding together. As plans for tiny treasures swirled in her mind, she realized this was more than just a way to raise funds for Ben's treatment. It was a chance to unite her community, to celebrate creativity, and to harness their strength together against the winds of uncertainty. The next day, Emma threw herself into planning. She drafted a social media campaign, outlining not only her mission, but the collective spirit of the community. She envisioned flyers plastered on local coffee shop windows, vendors willing to donate their time and goods, and families coming together for an afternoon of fun and purpose. Hours flew by as she poured her heart into every detail, and by the time evening settled in, she was exhausted but exhilarated. The twins were tucked in once more, and her heart soared as she thought about what this could do for Ben. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Her heart skipped again, a familiar flutter of anxiety mixed with excitement. Could it be someone from the nonprofit? Or perhaps a neighbor with good news? Emma opened the door slowly, uncertainty knotting in her stomach. When she swung it wide, she was surprised to find a face she hadn't seen in a long time. "Jake?" The shock in her voice reflected the disbelief she felt. Her brother stood there, eyes wide, a look of concern etched on his face. "Emma, I heard what happened in that moment." Every thread of her carefully woven plans momentarily unraveled. Emotions surged to the surface: relief, worry, anger, and she had to decide how to respond. Would this be the help she needed, or was it going to complicate everything even more? With her heart racing, she stepped back, motioning him inside, uncertain of what would unfold next. Jake stepped inside, his presence filling the small space with an unexpected weight. Emma felt the familiar sting of mixed emotions, swirling like a summer storm. She had long hoped for this moment, but now that it was here, it felt too complicated. "Emma, I came as soon as I heard. I want to help," he began, his earnest eyes searching hers for understanding. "I know you mean well, but things are complicated right now." Her voice trembled slightly, and she could feel the tension building between them, the unspoken things that had remained buried. "Complicated? Is that what you call it?" He crossed his arms, frustration evident in his posture. "This is our brother we're talking about, Emma. Ben needs support not just from your friends or the community, but from family." "I'm doing everything I can," she replied, her eyes flashing. "I can't believe you'd just show up out of the blue and act like everything is normal. Where were you when I needed you before?" The hurt in her heart threatened to overflow. Jake flinched as if she struck him. "I know I wasn't there for everything, but I'm here now." His voice softened, the anger in his eyes replaced by concern. "Let me help. Just say the word." Emma's resolve faltered. This wasn't just about her. It was about Ben, who lay in the hospital, too small and fragile. She could see the desperation in Jake's eyes, and it mirrored her own fears. "Fine. But it's not as simple as showing up and volunteering. We have deadlines to meet. I'm trying to organize an event that means everything to us." "An event, right?" He looked at her with a mixture of admiration and sadness. "You're trying to do this alone, aren't you? You've always been so strong, Emma." "Maybe too strong," she admitted. "But I can't let anyone down. Not Ben. Not the kids. Not myself. It's hard to think when I feel so broken inside." He took a step closer, the air growing thick with emotional tension. "You don't have to carry all of this alone, sis. Let me take some of it on. We're family, and family sticks together." Emma looked into his eyes, weighing the sincerity of his offer. Did she dare trust him? Could he truly offer the kind of help she needed? The knot of worry in her chest loosened just a little. As they stood there, a sense of understanding washed over her. This could bridge a gap that years of silence had built. "Okay, you can help," she said cautiously. "Let us figure this out together, but we need to move fast. There's so much to do." "Together it is," he replied, a small grin forming on his lips. "Let us brainstorm and get this event started." With renewed hope, Emma felt as if vibrant colors were slowly filling in the grayscale world that had surrounded her for so long. Maybe together they could pull off something extraordinary for Ben. But deep down, Emma knew there was more than just event logistics on the table. There were unfinished family discussions and feelings waiting to be addressed. And as she nudged the ideas for tiny treasures back into her mind, she could sense that the real challenge ahead might not just be the event it was facing their past. As they began to outline their plans, Emma's phone pinged with a new message. She glanced at the screen. It was Claire from Caring Hands, wanting to discuss logistics. Just when things seemed to be looking up, a new storm loomed. What more could possibly be on the horizon to threaten the fragile hope they were trying to build? Emma took a deep breath, steadying herself. There was no doubting the urgency behind Claire's message. The event loomed ahead, and each detail mattered. She tapped the screen, her fingers trembling slightly as she composed her reply. Could they truly pull this off in time? Together with Jake, they had a shot, but first they needed clarity. "Is everything okay?" Jake's voice pulled her from her thoughts. His brow furrowed, the concern evident. "I just need to get some details sorted out," she said, leaving out her anxiety about asking for help. "Claire's working on the logistics for the event. We're meeting later, and I want to ensure we're aligned." Jake nodded, his expression hardening. "Let us make sure we're ready for that meeting." "What can I do?" Emma studied him. Could he match her intensity? "We need to gather what we have so far. Let us brainstorm ideas for volunteers' locations. Also, maybe we can set a timeline for everything. After that, we should focus on the kids. They need to know what's happening. It's not just about us." Jake acknowledged the weight of the occasion, and for once, Emma felt a flicker of hope that they were on the same page. "Right," she agreed, feeling the connection strengthen. "We can't forget Ben's friends. The families will want to be involved. They need to feel included, too." As Emma leaned toward the table, working through ideas, Every moment felt heavier but more meaningful. Jake jotted down her thoughts, eager to offer his take. She watched him, recalling the boy he once was, full of laughter and mischief. But those days felt years away, clouded by the years of silence and missed moments. She shook those feelings aside, focusing on the present. Suddenly, the doorbell rang, a sharp interruption that jolted them both. Emma exchanged a glance with Jake. That must be Claire. Let us do our best. They walked to the door, hearts racing amid the anticipation. Claire stood there, her usual bright smile dimmed by concern. Hey, I hope I'm not interrupting, she said, stepping into the living room. I heard about Ben. I'm really sorry. Thanks, Emma replied, her voice barely above a whisper. We're trying to organize the event, and your support means everything. As Claire settled in, the three of them dove deep into conversation. Ideas bounced around, laughter erupted despite the somber backdrop. Emma felt as if they were weaving a tapestry of hope through the darkness. But just as they began gaining momentum, Emma's phone buzzed again, causing her heart to drop. It was a notification from the hospital. A reminder of Ben's next appointment flashed in harsh red letters. It felt like a storm tolling a church bell, loud and unyielding. I have to go see him, she murmured, her heart racing. Jake and Claire exchanged glances, but Emma's voice caught in her throat. What if there is more bad news? What if it's not good? Then we'll face it together, Jake said, his tone a blend of reassurance and strength. No matter what happens, don't forget we're here. Emma wanted to believe him. She wished she could shake the worry clinging to her heart like a heavy fog. Let's finish our plans first, Claire said, a warm light in her eyes. Then you can go. Emma nodded, grateful for that support. But as they returned to the table to continue, she wondered if they could truly weather any storm that lay ahead. And deep down, she feared what may come next. Could the event mend their broken family, or would it expose deeper cracks they'd avoided for too long? Just as Emma began to formulate an answer in her mind, a knock reverberated again from the front door. A single, determined knock that felt ominously different than before. What now? Emma turned to the door, her heart racing in an unfamiliar rhythm. She hesitated for a moment, the weight of that knock feeling heavier than before. It echoed through the small house, amplifying her anxiety. Should I get it? Claire asked, glancing at Emma. Yeah. Please, Emma finally responded, her voice trembling slightly. She took a step back, urging Jake and Claire to stay close. This felt different. As Claire opened the door, an unexpected presence filled the room. It was Mrs. Anderson, an elderly neighbor whose kindness had been a small thread of comfort ever since they moved into the neighborhood years ago. She stood there, worry etched across her kind face. Emma, dear, she said, her voice soft yet firm. I heard about Ben. I brought you something. What could she possibly bring? Emma wondered, but the sight of a homemade casserole in Mrs. Anderson's hands sent warmth through her. It was a simple gesture, but it felt like a lifeline. Oh, thank you, Emma managed, her emotions surfacing again. That's so thoughtful of you. Mrs. Anderson's gaze shifted to the table laden with papers, pens, and half-formed plans. I know you're busy with everything. I just wanted you to know that you're not alone. We're all here for you. A lump formed in Emma's throat. She could see Jake's face soften, and Claire's eyes reflected the same warmth. In that moment, surrounded by these people who cared, the storm brewing inside her began to settle, if only a little. Thank you, Emma repeated, voice stronger now. It really means a lot. Their eyes met, and for the first time in a long time, Emma felt a flicker of hope ignite again. Perhaps they could pull this off together. They moved back to the table, the heavy air lightening just a little. Jake skirted around the idea of volunteers, and Claire resurfaced with fresh ideas for venues they hadn't considered yet. Emma scribbled furiously, filled with renewed determination. But amid their planning, the gnawing fear of what awaited her at the hospital still lurked. She couldn't shake the worry that loomed like a shadow at the edge of her thoughts. They continued, brainstorming, but each laugh thinned out as Emma's mind dripped back to Ben, waiting for her with uncertainty. "We'll handle this," Jake said again, his voice steady as he leaned across the table, searching her eyes. "Whatever it is, just remember we're in this together." His faith felt like a warm blanket, but Emma still felt the cold clutch of fear wrap around her heart. What would happen if things didn't go as hoped? The questions echoed in her mind, straining against her resolve. After what felt like an eternity of planning, Claire suddenly spoke up, her voice filling the room with energy. "Why don't we capture some moments for Ben?" "Moments?" Emma echoed, her brow furrowing in confusion. "Yeah, like video messages from everyone who wants to support him. We can compile them for the event. It'll make him feel loved and reminded of all the people cheering for him." A spark ignited in Emma's chest. It was a simple idea, yet profound. That could work. It'll be a way for him to connect with everyone, even if they can't be there. "Yes!" Claire smiled, the excitement lifting the atmosphere around them. But before they could flesh out the details, Emma's phone buzzed again, a sharp reminder of reality. She hesitated before looking at the screen. It was a message from the hospital. "Dr. Wilson requests your presence." Her breath caught. Anxiety clawed at her throat, tightening until it was hard to breathe. "I have to go," she whispered, heart pounding furiously as she locked eyes with Jake. "We're coming with you," he insisted, determination pouring from him. Emma wanted to protest, to shield them from the harsh reality, but the words stuck in her throat. They wouldn't let her go alone, and deep down, a part of her wanted them there. As they stepped outside, uncertainty hung in the air like a thick fog. The weight of what was about to happen loomed larger than ever. Would they be able to confront the storm that awaited them at the hospital? Would they find the strength to face whatever news lay ahead? The tension spiraled, tightening around her heart as they walked toward the unknown. Emma squeezed her hands into fists, drawing courage from the buzzing energy of her friends beside her. She didn't know what was waiting for her on the other side of those hospital doors, but one thing was clear: she wouldn't face it alone. What news would they uncover within those sterile walls, and how would it shape the plans they had set into motion? The hospital loomed ahead, its stark facade reflecting the fading light of the evening sky. Each step felt heavier as they approached, the air thick with unspoken fears. Emma's heart raced, a chaotic percussion echoing her thoughts. What could Dr. Wilson want? She clutched her phone tighter, the device a lifeline in this sea of uncertainty. Claire walked right beside her, whispering words of encouragement, though Emma could hear the tremor in her voice. "You're strong, Em. No matter what, you'll get through this." "Yeah," Emma replied, but her voice wavered. She could barely digest the notion of bad news. The past few weeks had been a blur of hope and despair, but that fragile hope was all she had left. Jake held the door open, his gaze steadying her as they stepped inside. The lobby was bustling with activity, a mix of families, doctors rushing by, and the faint sound of comforting beeps from machines in the distance. Still, it felt like a different world. A world where joy and grief coexisted in an uneasy balance. Emma approached the reception desk, her mind splintering into the myriad questions each tick of the clock brought. "I'm here to see Dr. Wilson," she told the nurse, her voice surprisingly steady despite the turmoil inside. "Have a seat, Ms. Evans. He'll be with you shortly," the nurse replied, offering a sympathetic smile. Emma nodded, turning to find a place among the plastic chairs, where her anxiety began to tangle with the apprehension of her friends. The waiting felt torturous. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours, filled with the muffled chatter of other patients and the occasional call for names over the intercom. Each announcement felt like a personal indictment, a reminder that time continued to tick forward while she sat frozen in place. Finally, the door swung open, and Dr. Wilson stepped out. He was a kind-faced man, with years of wisdom creased into his forehead. The moment his eyes met Emma's, she felt her heart stall. "Emma," he said, his tone measured but warm. "Thank you for coming." She nodded, swallowing hard. Jake's hand found hers, squeezing tightly as he read her expression. Claire leaned closer, her breath quick and shallow. "Is it about Ben?" Emma asked, each word scraping against her throat, struggling to break free. "Yes, it is." Dr. Wilson gestured for them to follow him into a small conference room, the medical diagrams hanging on the walls a stark reminder of reality. Inside, Emma felt a desperate need to storm through whatever news was coming. They sat around a small table, the tension palpable. Dr. Wilson folded his hands in front of him, searching their faces as if weighing how to deliver what was coming. Ben's tests came back, he began, the gravity of each word sinking deeper like an anchor. And we need to discuss a treatment plan. Emma's breath caught again, her pulse quickening. Instinctively, she looked to Jake, whose eyes were locked on Dr. Wilson with an intensity that made her feel less alone. The doctor continued, outlining possibilities and theories, but Emma struggled to focus. Each medical term danced around her head, muddled by the dread pooling in her stomach. She wanted to scream, to ask for hope in simple terms, something she could grasp, something that didn't feel out of reach. After a detailed explanation, the room felt suffocating. Emma finally found her voice. What does that mean for him? Is there hope? The vulnerability that bled through her words made Jake's grip tighten even more. Dr. Wilson paused, his expression softening. We have options, but the path will be difficult. It's a journey filled with uncertainty, and we need to be honest about what Ben will face. Emma felt the weight of those words settle over her like a thick fog. What if I can't do this? She asked, surprised at how raw the question came out. You can, Claire interjected, voice firm. You have to believe that. Emma's heart flickered at her friend's conviction, but doubt remained a stubborn shadow. Dr. Wilson leaned forward, his eyes steady. You're not alone, Emma. You have support, your friends, your family, and the community. Lean on that strength. Hope and fear collided within her. Could she really harness that strength when everything felt so fragile? As they left the conference room, Emma could sense the weight of the decision ahead. The walls of the hospital felt like they were closing in, echoing with her silent worries. The path was uncertain, but she knew one thing for sure. She had to be courageous for Ben, for herself, for everyone pivoting on this precipice of hope. Would she find the strength to face the upcoming challenges, or would the weight of despair crush the flickers of hope still glowing within her? As they headed down the long corridor toward the exit, Emma stole a glance back, wondering if the world inside those walls held more answers than she was ready to uncover. What was her next step? The chill in the air wrapped around Emma like a tight blanket as they stepped out of the hospital, the evening darkness now fully enveloping the world outside. The weight of Dr. Wilson's words pressed heavily on her shoulders. It felt as if she carried not only her own fears, but also Ben's uncertainty. She glanced over at Jake, who looked just as lost as she felt. Do you want to talk about it? He asked gently, trying to bridge the thick silence that had settled like fog around them. Emma shook her head, words sticking in her throat like old gum. I don't know what to think, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Claire walked on her other side, her presence a source of comfort, yet the tension radiating from Emma was palpable. We'll figure it out, Claire said, her fierce optimism shining through the worry. One step at a time. They made their way to the parking lot, and Emma felt drawn to the distant glow of streetlights. The mundane surroundings felt alien, like they had entered a parallel universe where everything was normal. Families were laughing, couples were holding hands, and yet she felt completely disconnected. Maybe I should have asked more questions in there, Emma said suddenly, frustration bubbling up within her. I should know everything. I shouldn't be lost like this. Hey, Jake said, stopping in his tracks to face her. You will learn everything. You just need time to sort it all out. You're not a doctor, Em. You're processing a lot. Be kind to yourself. She nodded, appreciating his words, but still feeling like they were drenched in uncertainty. They reached the car and piled in, the air inside heavy as the engine hummed to life. As they drove in silence, her mind raced. What did the future hold? The thought of Ben going through treatment consumed her. Would he still be the same boy she loved? Would despair overshadow the memories they made together? Claire broke the silence first. I think we should all gather at my place later. Just to relax. We need a distraction, you know? Sounds good, Jake agreed, glancing at Emma. We'll figure out our plan together. Emma managed a small smile, grateful for their unwavering support. But there was still a lump of fear settled deep in her chest. They arrived at Claire's house, the familiar surroundings offering a semblance of comfort. The warm glow from the windows felt like a beacon, an invitation to step out of the storm raging in her heart. Inside, laughter erupted. Claire's family was bustling about, setting up snacks and drinks. They called her name, asking her to join in. Emma hesitated at the doorway, watching them from the sidelines. The joy around her felt like a world away. Let us do it together, Jake called, stepping into the room and taking her hand. You can't carry this all by yourself. His support was a lifeline. She joined them, half smiling, half scared. As the evening unfolded, they played games and shared stories, but behind the laughter, Emma wrestled with her thoughts. Could she truly support Ben through whatever was coming? As the night wore on, she caught a glimpse of the twins in Claire's living room, one babbling in pure innocence, while the other tried to pull himself up. It struck her a moment of pure love and joy, despite the chaos around. And she wondered, if life could be so beautiful in its simplest moments, could she hold on to that even when darkness loomed? But as the laughter faded into the backdrop of her spiraling thoughts, a nagging question took root. What if the challenges ahead were greater than she anticipated? What if she wasn't enough to carry the weight of it all? Just then, her phone lit up with a message from Dr. Wilson. It read, "Remember, Emma, after the storm, there's always a rainbow waiting to be found." How could she find that rainbow in her heart when the clouds felt so heavy? As she stared at the screen, she felt a flicker of hope amidst the storm. Could it be enough to guide her through? But little did she know, the trials ahead would push her resolve to its limits, forcing her to confront her greatest fears and discover a strength she never knew she had. What would that journey uncover? As dawn broke, a soft light filled Emma's small home, bathing it in warm hues of gold. It was a new day, and with it came a fresh wave of resolve. Emma sat at the kitchen table, her heart focused like a compass pointing toward hope. Ben's treatment plan had begun, one moment of courage leading to another as she grasped the reins of their journey. Jake was already there, pouring coffee while Sophie and Ben played on the floor, surrounded by colorful toys. The sound of their laughter filled the air, a beautiful melody Emma had grown to cherish. It was a reminder that life breathed vibrantly, even among turbulence. "Ready for today?" Jake asked, his voice steady, but Emma could hear the hint of nervousness beneath. "I think so," she replied, but she knew the truth. She was not just ready, she was determined. They had set a schedule for the week, not only for Ben's appointments, but also to finalize plans for the charity event. The day unfolded with a familiar rhythm. They made calls to vendors, reached out to their community, and organized volunteers. Claire had rallied people to contribute, and Emma felt the strength of their love and support wrap around her like a comforting blanket. When they finally gathered at the local community center for the planning meeting, the energy was electric. Neighbors filled the room, eager faces nodding as Emma shared her vision for the charity event. The warmth and camaraderie of the community wrapped around her, igniting a fire deep within. Hope fanned the flames of her determination. As the meeting progressed, Emma watched her vision transform. Ideas flowed, laughter blended with plans, and suddenly, the pressure that had once hung over her like a storm cloud began to lift. She exchanged glances with Jake, his pride evident, pushing her to soar even higher. But as excitement built, reality knocked at the door. After the meeting, Emma received a call from Dr. Wilson. Setting aside the joy of the day, she answered, her heart rate quickening with every ring. "Emma, I wanted to talk about Ben's progress," the doctor said, his voice warm yet steady. The air stilled, each word heavier than the last. Emma's stomach tightened. "We need to adjust his treatment to address some concerns from the recent tests." Her heart sank. This was the moment of vulnerability, the reality they'd been holding at bay. "What will this mean?" she asked, fighting to keep her voice steady. "There will be more treatments, but I believe it's necessary. We need to catch any complications early. It's a difficult journey ahead, but we'll fight this together," Dr. Wilson assured her. A wave of realization washed over Emma. Her voice softened, breaking against the weight of the moment. I can do this, I will do this. When Emma hung up, she felt the resolve blossom within. She returned to Jake and Claire, determination shining in her eyes. Ben's treatment is changing, but we will navigate this. I want to back down. This community will support him us. They embarked on the next steps with everything they had. Emma flourished in her role as a determined mother and community leader, rallying everyone together. Ben's treatments became a focal point as local businesses donated supplies and neighbors stepped forward to help organize fundraisers and spreads. One sunny afternoon, while Emma held Ben in her arms, watching him laugh as Sophie tickled him, she heard a soft knock on the door. It was Mrs. Anderson again, standing with her warm casserole and an encouraging smile. "Emma, I just wanted to say how proud I am of you," she said, placing a gentle hand on Emma's shoulder. "You have turned sorrow into an extraordinary light. You inspire us." In that moment, Emma felt like the sun breaking through a cloudy sky. Her heart swelled as love radiated from all corners of her life between her children, her brother, her friends, and her community. They were each thread in the tapestry of her life, stitching hope into every fabric of fear. Days turned into weeks. Each moment became a small victory. Ben's giggles filled her heart, transforming her journey of heartbreak into a canvas of love and resilience. Emma turned her crafting hobby into a thriving business, and her tiny treasures brought smiles to not only her children, but to families struggling just like hers. As the charity event approached, hope soared like a kite in the sky. Emma stood in front of a bustling crowd on the day of the event, her heart pounding with excitement and joy. "Together, we can create a better future for Ben and for so many children," she exclaimed, her voice buoyed by love as she felt her community rally behind her. Emotions cascaded, laughter echoed, and for the first time in a long time, Emma felt whole again, not boxed in by grief, but freed by unwavering support that promised love and light. She clutched Ben and Sophie close, grateful for each heartbeat and every shared smile. This was the moment everything changed, the moment she turned heartbreak into hope, the moment she discovered not just the strength to fight for Ben, but the resilience to uplift a community. And standing there, she realized the greatest gift her children had given her wasn't just a reason to carry on, it was a reminder of the beauty born from life as storms. A new chapter awaited, one filled with laughter, love, and the unwavering determination to face whatever came their way. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now so you won't miss the next exclusive stories. Like now to fuel the algorithm and help us reach more hearts with our story. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about the ending. Your voice matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Your engagement means everything to us.